We're live on YouTube.
Live on YouTube.
How can you? It's because I have it. Okay, great.
Do it live. Oh, this one actually not gonna do that one. Just picking out the problems to do. Okay, getting a little glimpse behind the scenes. Which problems should we do today? Oh, I like that one. Okay. All right. Oh. My love, I don't have my screen up. Is this fresh?
That's the one that you brought up, I think.
I think that's one that Dashi made for me. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and oh, you know what? Let's start out with some geometry. Let's start out with this one. There we go. All right, guys, welcome to Math Thursday, where we are going through some SAT problems. These are from the SAT practice PDF exams, so they give you a really good glimpse into the kinds of questions that you may come across on the SAT or ACT. These are from the SAT website, so you know we're going to start off with a little bit of geometry. So let me know what your answer choice is in the chat. Ooh, Ithaca, Michigan. That's exciting. Finally, hopefully it's not too smoky where you are. We finally got a day without smoke today. Ooh. So what part of Michigan is your favorite thing to do? Which is we're like down here, right down here, kind of outside of Detroit. Yeah. On the very southeast part. This is, yeah, showing where people are from is one of my favorite things to do in Michigan. Oh, up here or here. It's pretty fun. Okay. Oh, the UP is so gorgeous. It's so pretty. We went up, I think 3 or 4 years ago, we went up and went to Sault Ste. Marie and got to see the Soo Locks, and there were a couple of ships that were coming through here. It was so cool. It was so cool. All right, over on YouTube, hi, Logical Show. Oh, thank you. I feel pretty awesome. Yeah, so Tractor Batman is saying, wow, simple algebra. So yes, it is simple algebra, but the way that you get there to set it up is geometry. So, you know, math is all connected. And this is kind of a perfect problem that exemplifies why, like, my school in particular, we're doing more of an integrated approach, and a lot of schools are doing an integrated approach to math, because right here it's hard to categorize this as being geometry or algebra because it's both, and they work together so much. So you can use the geometric relationships to set up your algebraic expression or equation, and yeah, go from there. Oh, Allie, you're from the Sault Ste. Marie. It's such a cute town. We love it up there. Ooh, okay, so Tractor Batman, you're saying C is the only logical answer. Just by looking at it, is close to 45 degrees. Nothing else is near, so it has to be C. So here's what I would caution you against on doing that, is that this right here, that it's not drawn to scale. Okay, now I don't know what the answer is. So on all of these, like, I don't have the answer key. We're working them out all together, so I don't know what the answers are. Okay, so it might be 41, but I'd be very careful with going through and saying like, well, it looks like it's about 45 degrees, so 41 is close. It may or may not be 41. I don't know. A lot of people are saying that it's 41, so I don't know. But so if it is 41, we'll look at how to get to that answer using math as opposed to just kind of like that logical, don't use that, because what if it was 37 as one of the options, right? Then you would kind of be sunk, right? Okay. Okay, we got a lot of chat on the TikToks. So Helen asks, is this 8th grade math? So this is from the SAT practice exams. So this is primarily something that's given to like 10, 11, 12th graders. But the majority of the SAT exam is Algebra 1, Geometry, and some Algebra 2. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's get into this. So in the figure, lines M and N are parallel. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark those as being parallel. Now, one thing that's really important about that is that that opens up this whole door of different relationships. So when you know that those two lines are parallel, okay, I'm going to just zoom in on this. You know a lot of other information. I know that this angle and this angle are congruent because they are what we call corresponding angles. So they're both kind of in the lower right of that kind of arrangement, right? We also know that, so X is going to equal Y. And the reason for that is because those are vertical angles. They're right across from each other. Okay. Now here, this angle here and this angle here. Okay, now I'm marking these just to show you which angles I'm talking about, right? So Y and Z. Now these are not congruent angles, but they are going to add up to 180 because they're what we call consecutive interior angles. So Y plus Z is going to equal 180 degrees. Okay, so again, so by saying that those lines are parallel, that opens up all of these different relationships. So using these two relationships, we can start to figure it out, right? So looking at this, I haven't even fully read the question. Okay, in the figure, lines M and N are parallel. If X equals 6K plus 13 and Y equals 8K minus 29, what is the value of Z? Okay, so we've got our relationships here, right? Which the first one that we know is that X equals Y. So if X equals Y, because they're vertical angles, I can go ahead and I can say that 6K plus 13 equals 8K minus 29. Okay, now what it's asking me for is it's not asking me for the value of K, but in order to figure out what the value of Z is, I need to know what K is. Okay, so, okay, yes. All right, so I'm gonna add 29, minus 6K. So I used my geometry to get this set up. Now I'm just going to use algebra to solve it. Okay, and I'm going to get out my NumWorks calculator, which is awesome. Okay, so 13 plus 29, that's 42. So 42 equals 2K. So then K equals 21. Now, look at what answer B is, right? If you didn't fully read the question, you might pick B and move on. It's not, because it asks you for the value of Z. Now, Y plus Z equals 180. Now, what does Y equal? Well, Y is 8K minus 29. So I'm going to do 8 times 21 plus 29, right, no, minus 29, sorry. 8K minus 29. So we've got 8 times 21 minus 29. So that means that y is 139 degrees. Okay, so 139 plus z equals 180. So z equals 41. So again, the answer is C. Yay! Okay, a lot of you got 41. Okay, now Tractor Batman over there on YouTube said that it's the only logical answer because it looks like it's close to 45 and 41 is the only one that's close. But again, I caution you against just kind of eyeballing it because it tells you right here it's not drawn to scale. So if I actually went through and measured this, it would probably be like 45 degrees, just because that's the diagram that they're using. But it's actually 41 degrees, right? Because I say it's 41 degrees. That's what it is. Okay, so make sure you come to your conclusion with some math behind it. Okay. What are we gonna do next? Ooh, okay. Let's get, are you guys ready for some algebra 2? Okay. Let's do this one. This is definitely an algebra 2, I would say. Okay, so this one's going to take a little bit more. Let me know in the chat if you guys can't see it or something like that. But this is definitely more of an algebra 2 question. It seems like this one's a little more challenging. Fizz chat? Yes, it is live. I am live. Hello. Okay, so negative 13. Fizz chess. Okay. Blizzard, you're saying D. Okay. Okay, so I'll give you guys, I know this one's kind of the power rule, yeah. Yep. Luke, you should know by now that I'm all about numworks. Come on. But you can put it in a TI-84 too. How is that cheating? How is it cheating using a numworks as opposed to a TI-84? Luke. Desmos, yep, Desmos works. Yep. Demi, let's see. Oh, everybody's getting C. Okay. Getting a lot of C's. I saw some B's for -13. I saw one D. Okay. Nope, you don't have to do derivatives for this one. Nope. Ooh, DMC, D McDaniel, maybe? Yeah, I like how you got all of that information. Yep. Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you guys about 1 more minute to lock in your answers on this. So Michael, you're saying, can you complete the square and then find the min? I'm not sure how you would do completing the square on this one. Oh, I like these shortcuts that you guys are doing. Okay, so here's what we got. I got a lot of really good information in the chat, right? So what I did personally was I put into my calculator, you could use this doing Desmos or TI-84, or you guys know I love a NumWorks calculator, okay? I put this in to my graphing function, and then I found my zero, or I found my minimum, right? And so the minimum is, the minimum is at -1.5 and -132.25. So it would be, X is going to be D. Okay, now that was just me plugging it into my calculator. Okay, now they have changed the SAT. There are no more of the no calculator portions and yes calculator portions. So you can always be able to graph something. So I always tell my students when I'm getting them ready for the SAT and ACT, like if you're not totally sure, graph it. If they give you an equation that you can graph it. Take it, look at it, right? So you can do this without doing any differentials or anything like that, okay? So when you look at this, okay, you could definitely foil this together. Yep, you can totally do a derivative, sure. But what I really like about what some of you were saying was well, X minus 10 is going to be one of your zeros, and X plus 13 is going to be another zero. So my zeros are going to be at -13 and 10, right? So if I think about where that's going to look, what that's going to look like just on the graph, just doing a quick sketch, right? -13 and +10. Now I know if I multiply this together, it's going to be opening up, right? So it's going to be opening up, so it's going to be somewhere like that, right? No, Saki, using a calculator and finding the minimum point is not cheating. Okay. It's not cheating for you to use a calculator. Calculator is a good tool to help support your thinking, right? So even if you just look at this and look at the graph itself, okay, you can figure it out. Okay. So now this is what value of X. Okay, so what value of X is that looking at? So -130 would be way to the left, so it's not that. -13 I know is one of the zeros, so that's not going to be where the minimum is. -23 over 2, okay, that's going to be so far skewed over here, right? That's going to be way over here, because -23 over 2, that's like -11 and a half, right? That's going to be way over here. That's not the axis of symmetry, right? So halfway between those two, right, you can do -13 plus 10 divided by 2. That gives you -3 over 2. Okay. Now this right here, this is like an algebra 2 question. This is solidly, I would say, Algebra 2 content. By saying calculator, are you referring to the Desmos calculator? So again, you are allowed to use basically any calculator on the SAT. There's some restrictions, but for the most part, you can use any calculator. They also will provide you the SAT that is given online now, the digital SAT. They do provide you access to the Desmos calculator, so you can always go into that and use that. You can also use your NumWorks calculator, which I really like for how easy it is to find the zeros and find the minimums and all of that. You can also use your TI-84 calculator for this as well. Again, what I always tell my students is if you get a function or you get an equation that you can graph it, you might learn something, right? You can kind of navigate through around it, right? Yep, you can absolutely foil this together, all of that. So there are, I mean, I've seen just in the chat, I've seen like 7 different ways to solve this same problem, okay? But regardless of the way that you solve this, the answer is D. And that's it. Okay. All right, let's see. Ooh, how about this one? Yeah, so John is saying the answer selection made this a bit easier because of the zeros. Totally, yeah. It does make it a little bit easier when they kind of give you those zeros right there in the answers. So the Saz on YouTube is asking where else is the stream taking place. So we're also on TikTok. So either way. Yeah. Oh, thank you, AK. So told me that the equation was hidden. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. Okay, is that better? Let me know. Oh, Benjamin, thank you. I love my videos too. All right, Math Dude is here. Hi, Math Dude. All right, guys, so get your answers in the chat here. All right, I'll give you guys another minute to get through this. Okay. Oh, we got some people taking the SAT for the first time this fall. That's exciting. All right. So let's take a look at this. So we've got this equation with a lot of different variables going on, right? We've got negative 3x plus 21 px equals 84. In the given equation, p is a constant, which means it's a number. Okay, the equation has no solution. What is the value of p? So this part right here where it says the equation has no solution. So when it has no solution, it means that when you solve it, you end up with something like 4 equals 7, which is never going to be true, right? So in this case, what we would be looking for is something, so we've got negative 3x and then plus 21 px equals 84. So if we were to figure out what p would need to be in order to make this become positive 3x, because if it's positive 3x, we've got negative 3x plus 3x equals 84. Those are going to cancel out, and I'm just going to be left with 0 equals 84. There's no value for x that I could get to make it so that 0 equals 84. That's never going to happen. So this right here would be no solution. So that's what we want. So we want 21 times p. We want that to equal 3. And in order for that to equal 3, p would need to be 1/7. It's a fraction, yep, because 1/7 of 21 is 3. Okay, now what you can do is you're not really sure. Why is it, okay, Michael, you're saying why 0 just because it's convenient to cancel out with the negative 3x. Do you mean this 0 here? Yeah, so this 0 here, if you cancel out those x's, you're going to end up with 0 equals 84. So there's no value that's going to make that equal each other, right? So Debo said, how did you solve it? So we figured out that we want this 21px to actually become 3x. And so we want 21p to be 3. We want 21p to be 3. Now, what you could also do is you could go through and each one of these, plug it in for p and see what works, right? So if you plug in each of these, like if I plug in 0 for p, I would have 3x. I would have 3x plus 21 times 0 x equals 84. And that would give me, that's 0. So that would give me 3x equals 84. Well, that's not no solution. That's a solution of 28. All right, sorry, I'm going off a little bit. Okay. Yep, you could definitely factorize it. Yep, you could factor it if you wanted to. But if you can just kind of reason through it on this one, it works out just the same, right? But if you're not really sure, I always talk about my two major strategies for any standardized math test is you're either going to solve the problem to find the answer and then look in your choices for your answer, or you can use the choices, plug them in to find which one is the answer. And on this one, you could actually do both, right? You could actually do both, and it would be a little bit more efficient to solve this one, but you can plug in those values that, to make that work, right? Not sure how you would use Desmos on this other than just dividing. I don't know. Is y equal? Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Let's see. Oh, come on, this one. Let's see. Let's see. Wait, can you use the TI? Oh, zoom out a bit. Yep, there you go. Can you use the TI-84 calculator for the SAT? Yes. So the SAT, you can bring in basically whatever calculator you have. So that can be pretty much whatever calculator you have, right? There's some, there's some more advanced, really advanced calculators that are basically computers that they don't allow. But you can bring in pretty much any calculator. They're very much about, being able to use whatever you have. And that's also, it's an equity issue. That's also why they are providing the Desmos calculator just on, if you're taking it through Blue Book, if you're taking it through like the digital, like online, you can just use the Desmos. It's right there built into the system. Yeah, we're not really sure what the background noise is. I'm wondering if it's the cicadas outside.
So,
Okay.
YouTube's noise reduction is better.
Interesting. All right, guys, we are working on the noise suppression. Not really sure what's going on. I think it is that our tree out front is covered in cicadas right now, and it isn't usually.
Listening to it, I think it's just like the thing.
Well, we always have that on. That's weird. I don't know. Okay, so Disa, I don't know what your name is. Sorry. Asked when is the next class. So we are live every Thursday. Over the summer, we are primarily focusing on SAT just because it's summer. So, everybody's not necessarily in class right now. But once the school year kicks into higher gear, we will be back with like a little Ask Me Anything. So you guys can come in and join and ask any questions about concepts or anything like that. But we are live every Thursday. So come join us for Math Thursday. Let's see. Keely, what math do I teach? So I teach primarily, it's a sophomore class. So like I was saying earlier, we do an integrated math approach. So I'm primarily geometry into algebra 2. But I also do teach into like algebra 2 into pre-calc. But usually I'm with sophomores, so 10th grade.
Can you ask them that if that noise?
All right, guys, is the background noise, is it better? Those of you who were concerned about it. Got a lot of people say, as the cicadas just ramp it all up. Okay, I think somebody said yeah. All right, so we've got A, D, A, whole lot of A's. Okay, so let's see. A proposal for a new library was included on an election ballot. A radio show stated that 3 times as many people voted in favor of the proposal as people who voted against it. A social media post reported that 15,000 more people voted in favor of the proposal than voted against it. Based on these data, how many people voted against the proposal? Blech. Okay. So let's see. We could probably do... Okay, so first we want to see which value is greater, right? So more people voted in favor than against it, right? So then let's see. So a radio show stated that 3 times as many people voted in favor of the proposal as people who voted against it. Social media post reported that 15,000 more people voted in favor of the proposal than voted against it. Based on these data, how many people voted against the proposal? So here's what I would do. Again, so I'm just kind of looking at these in real time, right? I'm just looking at it in real time and I'm going, oh man, I don't even know, like, should I set up a system? Should I do? So this is one of those times where I'm just going to use the answer choices because I don't even know where to start. Okay. But what I do know to look at this is that so let's say if it were 7,500 voted against, if 7,500 people voted against it, okay, 3 times as many people voted in favor of it as people who voted against it. Okay, so then if 7,500 voted against it, 7,500 times 3, whoops. So 7,500 times 3 would be 22,500. So 22,504. Okay, so right there, that's the 3 times as many. Now, my other piece of question, right? My other piece of information is that 15,000 more people voted in favor of the proposal than voted against it. So 75 times 3, so I'm sorry, 7,500 times 3 does equal 22,500. So we checked that. And 22,500 minus 7,500 is 15,000. So that is also true. Okay. There we go. Okay, so my answer is A. But again, like, could I have figured this out a different way? Yeah, I could have had this. I could have figured out this a different way. But you know, why? Why? Okay. But yeah, all the other numbers, B, C, and D, looking at them now, I know a lot of you said this, but like, would be so much bigger if we did the times 3, right? So Michael FVD says, how do you tackle word problems generally? So I really like, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but, you know, reading it multiple times, I think there's a lot of different like methods, like read it 3 times. And the first time you look for this, the second time you look for this. That's great. That's fine. But I mean, I think you guys could kind of see when I was processing this in my brain, I'm reading it over and over and over. Now, the first time I read it, I'm just kind of getting the context, right? I'm just sort of looking at like, okay, this library, it's a proposal. I've got this different information. Okay. And now I'm going to be looking at it from a mathematical perspective, right? Am I multiplying? Am I dividing? Is it a function? Like, what's going on? Right. And then I'm continuously like reading through it and then just picking out the mathematical pieces. So I'm trying to kind of simplify it and boil it down into just the algebra. Now, in this case, I was having a really hard time boiling it down to like an equation or a function or a system of equations, right? And that's okay. Okay, but I could still use that mathematical and logical reasoning to figure out that problem. Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, so on these types of questions, like if you're not sure where to start, don't just skip it. Try something, right? Try to start just like plugging in your answers and seeing what happens, right? That's a good strategy too. Okay. Oh, we finished a page, guys. Yay, us. All right, let's see. Oh, this one's probably going to be quick. All right, guys, there you go. System of equations, ready, go. Woo! Yeah, so John, this one is pretty straightforward. Yep. So this one is literally just, I think this is from module 1. Let me just double check. Oh, no, it is from module 2. So on the math SAT, can't read it. I can't read that. Are you giving me a countdown? Okay. Oh, Keely, do you have to pay to get these practice questions? Nope. Just go to the College Board SAT website and you can find, they have PDFs to download, and they have all the answer keys, and they have all the sections too. But what I was saying is with the math section and with the reading sections, also the English sections also, they have like module 1 and module 2. Usually module 1 is much more straightforward, and module 2 is a little more like application type of problems. And so I'm surprised that this one's a module 2, but anyway. Okay, so what is the solution to this given system of equations? Okay, so the solution to a system of equations is 1 point, or I mean, a solution to a system of equations is 1 point that works for both of the equations. Now these are both linear equations, so it's just one. Okay, so the solution, x comma y, that means that like for A, x would be 15 and y would be 3. Okay. For 16, x would be, I'm sorry, for B, x would be 16, y would be 2. Okay, so looking through these, so I can either solve this or I can start plugging values in. Okay, now me just explaining what that 15 comma 3 was, I figured out what the answer was. So sometimes, yes, I know how to solve this, but I could also just kind of look at the answer choices and go, oh, the answer is A, got it. Okay, but let's look at this. So to solve a system of equations, so this one lends itself to substitution very well because x plus y is 18, but 5y is also x. So I can substitute in 5y for the x. So what I've got then is 5y plus y equals 18. So that means that 6y equals 18, so y equals 3. Now with these answer choices, I don't even need to figure out the rest of it because this is the only one that has 3 for y. Done. I just want to do a quick double check that, oh yeah, 5 times 3 is 15, 15 plus 3 is 18. I checked that. Answer is A. Okay. Oh, this is another one. This one's going to be pretty quick too. I have a feeling with this crowd. Michael, you could do elimination question, or you could do elimination with that, but it would be a little bit tricky because you would have to kind of line them up together. So elimination would not be one that you would probably do on there. The solution is where the two lines intersect. Yeah, that's what it would look like on the graph. Yep, these are just combining like terms. Good. These are actually second module questions. You can see up at the very top, it says it's a module 2 question, but these are early in module 2. I think I have some that are a little bit more complicated. So this is only question 3 in module 2, so keep that in mind, right? All right, so when we're looking at this, these are like terms. So when you are combining like terms, we know that they are like terms because they're both x cubed, so x to the third. So when you're adding or subtracting them, you don't change the variable at all. You don't change the exponent. You just add or subtract the coefficients, which is 12 minus 5. So this is 7x cubed, which is C. So this is one where the answer choices don't really help you figure out which one is right. You just kind of have to know that you've got to subtract the coefficients. Okay. All right, let's see. Oh. Okay. This one's an easy unit. This is an easy unit rate conversion here. Or does it just say straightforward? Because unit conversions are tricky. Yeah, so the SAS over on YouTube, yeah, it's just 12 minus 5, which was 7, so it would be 7x to the third. Yep. Anonymous saying, what is the matter of SAT? So SAT is a standardized exam that many, like the vast majority of colleges and universities in the United States use as like an entrance exam, kind of like an aptitude test with math and reading. So yeah, so it's very, very high priority in the United States. Oh, Jake, that is music to my ears. I love dimensional analysis. Give me some stoichiometry problems. Oh, any day. Love it. So Finn is asking, what resource do you recommend to prepare for the SAT? So this is, you know, honestly, like these are just doing these practice problems. This is the best preparation. A lot of the questions are they're not recycled, but it'll kind of be like, oh, that's the transversal question, right? There's a lot of like typical questions that come up. And Tate, there's no section on the SAT anymore that's not calculator. You will always have access to a calculator, or you can bring your own. Okay, so we could do dimensional analysis, but we can also just take a look at this. In 5,104 yards, if 1 mile is 1,760 yards, you're trying to figure out how many sections of 1,760 are in 5,104. So I'm going to do 5,104 divided by 1,760. And I'm going to get probably, I'm going to guess that it's B. Just estimating. Yep, 2.9. Okay, so even just estimating, right? I've got about 5,000 yards and I've got about, you know, 2,000 even, like 2 point something seems good, right? Now, if I looked at this, okay, so we'll do it with dimensional analysis. God, I love it so much. So dimensional analysis, you're going to end up at the same answer. It's okay. But stoichiometry is something that you come across in chemistry. And it's really just sort of like unit rate conversions, but like to the extreme. And what you do is you use this right here is we've got a unit rate, right? So you can look at this as 1,760 yards per 1 mile, or it's also 1 mile is 1,760 yards. Okay, I know I'm kind of running off of that. Oh, factor label method. That, I feel like that's familiar too. Okay, so what we would do for dimensional analysis is you're going to multiply by unit rates, right? So I'm going to multiply by like how many yards are in a mile or how many miles in yards and all of that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be paying attention to the rates or the units themselves. So I'm going to actually set this up like this because this is how I learned it. So what you start with is 5,104 yards. And what you want to end up with is miles. Okay, so miles is on top. Now yards, I'm going to put down here because when I'm going to multiply everything across the top, multiply everything across the bottom, and then divide. Okay. So 1 mile is 1,760 yards. Now the reason I have this on top and bottom is that yards over yards, they cancel out. Okay. Now if you notice, I'm going to end up with 5,104 divided by 1,760 once again, right? Okay. So, I'm not trying to make this more complicated. This is just another way of doing it. This is called dimensional analysis. Somebody was asking about dimensional analysis. But again, guys, this is the biggest secret on the SAT. Nobody actually cares how you solve these problems. Nobody cares. What they care about is what your answer is, right? All that the graders and the machines are looking at is what did you bubble in on your form or what did you choose on your computer. Nobody's checking your work. Nobody's looking at how you did this. What really matters is the answer you choose, and that's it, really. Like that's all that really answers, or that's all that really matters, right? It's just the answer that you choose. So nobody cares about you showing your work. But this is something, those of you who may be in high school and going into chemistry, this is something that is going to be coming at you. Now, when you get to that point, please, please, please join me on Math Thursday, because I love stoichiometry. I hated it in high school, but I love it now. I absolutely love it now. It's one of my favorite things. Okay. Let's go to another question. Let's go to, ooh, there we go. Ooh, oh, this is a good one, guys. Okay. Okay. Melly, let's see, where can I find this practice test? So go on to I think it's the College Board website. They have I think they have at least 10 practice SAT tests on there. Yeah, so here we go. We've got an absolute value equation. Okay, we've got an absolute value equation. So Roy, going from an 1100 SAT to a 1310 after studying for this, that's great. I mean, 200 points is 200 points, man. Like that's a good jump. Okay. And 1300 on the SATs is not bad. It's nothing to frown on. Ooh, 1600 on the SAT. Oh my goodness. Oh, got a whole bunch of B's. No, D's and B's. Okay. All right. So what is the sum of the solutions to the given equation? This is a really good question. And this is more of like what you would expect in a Module 2 SAT question, because Module 1, again, tends to be very straightforward. Module 2 tends to be a little more critical thinking. And this one I really like because it's not just asking you to solve this equation, it's asking you to then do another step with those solutions. So it's almost like, I know you know how to solve it, but then do this, right? Okay, so with an absolute value equation, so these, the vertical lines on either side are absolute value, okay? Which means that, it's technically the number on, or sorry, the distance on a number line, so it doesn't really have a sign. It's like positive or negative. It's like the absolute value of -4 is 4. The absolute value of +4 is 4. So if we've got an absolute value equation, what you do to solve these is you split them up. So if the absolute value of -5x plus 13 equals 73, then what's inside here, there are actually two different options, right? -5x plus 13, oops, I'm going to erase that other, or I'm going to actually shift that other arrow over, might actually be 73, right? What's in that absolute value symbol might be 73. But it could also be actually where you put it in here and it would be -73. Because if the absolute value of this, or I'm sorry, if the -5x plus 13 is -73, then the absolute value of -73 is still 73. Okay, so you have to split these and then you solve. Okay, so here I'm going to do -13 minus 13. I have -5x equals 60. Yep. Divide by -5x, or divide by -5, and I get negative, or oh my gosh, I get x equals -12. Blah. Okay. So now over here, I'm going to do -13 minus 13, and I've got -5x equals -86, right? Yes. And then I'm going to divide by -5, divided by -5. So I've got -86 divided by -5, which is 86 over 5, right? So then I'm going to do plus -12. So I've got, because it's asking me for the sum of the solutions. So my solutions for this are -12 and 86 over 5. Those are my solutions. Now, what it's asking me for is to add those together. Okay. So then I'm going to take that and I'm going to add, dang it. I'm going to add them together, which means I'm actually going to subtract 12 from it. So 17.2 minus 12. So that's 5.2, which is 26 divided by 5. So my answer is D. Oh yeah, Jake, if you're using your phone calculator, here's what you should actually do is you should actually download the NumWorks emulator. It is free and it is a way better calculator than you've got on your phone. I can guarantee that. Okay. So is that Allie? Allie, I'm not sure. So what grade level is this? Well, this is from the SAT. So this is geared towards high school. And Jake, Desmos is available on the SAT as long as you are taking it digitally. Desmos is on the SAT, but you can also use any calculator that you have. So like I said, you should go onto the App Store or even onto the website and download the emulator for NumWorks. Okay. I know they didn't offer it for me either, but now that they're doing it digitally, it's a good thing because it's, you know, it's an equity piece. So now everybody has access to a good calculator. Hold on, guys. I got to do my little thing. Beep, beep, boop, 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 boop. A little puzzle piece. There we go. Okay. Danica, can you show the last step again? Oh, how I got from there. So what I did was I did 86 over 5, which is 17.2, plus negative 12. And that's what gave me the 26 over 5, which is 5.2. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Oh, what times am I? I'm live every Thursday at 8 o'clock. Basically, like we're ending the hour, right? Right now. So an hour before this is when we started. Yeah, read the questions. Yep. So Brian asks, why is it negative 73 and not 73? So it is both. It could be either one because the absolute value of 73, is 73, but the absolute value of negative 73 is also 73. So that's why negative 5x plus 13 could be 73, or it could be negative 73. Either way, the absolute value is going to be that ending. Yeah. And so then once you get your two solutions that will make this true, then you are going to add those together because it's asking for the sum. All right, guys, we are about out of time. But this has been a great live, really good questions, really good stuff that we're doing. So join us again next week. They have highlighters on the online version. I think so. I think you can use like a highlighter function. I think they have ways to notate and all of that. Okay, so if you guys are interested in one-on-one tutoring or anything like that, let me know. Click the link, do the stuff, send me a message. Again, if you would like a NumWorks calculator, go ahead and check in my profile. I have a code for a 10% discount on these. This is a great calculator. If you want to try it out, you can download the emulator. But it's a great calculator. I've got some videos about my favorite features on there and everything. Okay. All right. Have a wonderful night, everybody, and be safe. Stay cool. Bye.